My name is Erin Bush. I am a Diamond Ambassador with Plexus, and tonight we are starting the foundation of this incredible perspective-changing, mindset-changing, life-changing discussion on how we can move from standing on the treadmill going nowhere to getting somewhere. So I'm super excited to be able to bring to you chapters 1 through 3 tonight. Vicki couldn't get on tonight. She had some traveling issues, and so I'm just going to dive right in and do all 3 chapters. And I'm going to assume that the majority of you have read these 3 chapters. But even if you haven't, you can still participate and be a part of this meeting. Okay, so I hope you have the book in front of you. I'm going to kind of teach from the book, similar as I would when I was teaching previously. I no longer teach, although I do homeschool my kids, but now with my passion being to get men and women in a place financially where they want to be with this part-time job, I feel like I'm still doing my life's purpose and calling. But let me tell you guys, if you know anything about my story, there is absolutely no way I would be where I am in Plexus without complete and utter changing of my mindset. When the author talks about head trash, you guys, I was full to the brim. I don't know how any more head trash could get in there, you guys. But what I want you to understand is, even though my passion has been self-development and mindset and understanding your purpose and dreaming big and understanding your subconscious and how it affects your consciousness, this book puts a whole new spin that I just can't even, I'm just so excited about. But I'm going to be very honest here. I was skeptical. I guess my skepticism is still around even after all this time with Plexus, even thinking that I've become such a much more open-minded person, because I started reading going, yeah, right. And then he did such a good job building my belief in him and in the way this works, especially because he is hitting things on the head for me. All right. I have some notes that I typed out that I'm going to kind of keep referring to. All right. We are constantly weighing from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, why to do something or why not to do something. We did this in our decision to move from Oklahoma to California. We had a good thing going in Oklahoma. We really did. But on a conscious level, we sat down and agonized over the pros and cons of moving back home to California. And the list was long on each side and different every time I did it. I even did a pros and cons list for each person in the family. I was very, very, or what I perceived would be their pros and cons, by the way, because I didn't really involve the kids in that. But that's a very conscious level. And what the book goes into is what is available to us, or that we're actually unavailable to us on a subconscious level. And what happens inside the mind that causes us to stop at the point of being successful. Now, that was the first thing that really honed into me. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. In the last 3 years that I've been building a business with Plexus, I have seen some people have amazing action, and when they are approaching a rank, sabotage themselves. Either through inaction, or that's usually it, or justified procrastination. They needed to work a little extra to get to that rank or set up for that next rank, and they weren't willing to do it, even though on a conscious level, they said yes, they said I want success, they said they wanted to go to the next rank, but I sat back and watched and said, what are they doing? or not doing. But I could not put my finger on why exactly it was there. I knew that it had to do something with mindset, but it's not necessarily I could put my finger on it. And I'm going to be very, very vulnerable here with you. I have done the same thing in my own health journey. I get on something, I eat clean, I have no sugar, it is hard as heck. And then month 3, 90 days in, I sabotage myself. Over and over and over, I have done this. I have known that sugar was the enemy since I was 25. For 20 years, almost, I'm not quite there yet, I have been sabotaging myself in staying off of sugar. And I keep thinking, why the heck do I do this? Well, I think that I may be coming into the answer. All right, so the first thing I want to point out to you is pages 12 and 13 in the book. So if you have, you don't have to turn there, but if you have your book, this is the list and examples as to why you are reading this book. The why to do something and the why not to. I hope that you answered these questions, both on page 12 and page 13. I think it's very important. And even though this does not look like something important in the book, because all you're doing is talking about why you're reading it, this actually is going to give you a foundation for what is going on in your head. And I'm going to admit, I have not read past chapter 3 yet. I have read chapters 1 through 3 twice in preparation for tonight. So I don't even know what happens next. I don't even understand the first step yet. I am not there. I am truly, truly reading this along with you as we go through this book. But what I found is as I was identifying why I was reading this book, I was getting deeper into the subconscious reasons I want success, or I might be sabotaging my own success. So I hope that you did that. What I found interesting, and what about your why not tos or your cost, is that many of these have something to do with fear of failure. Now, I am a huge advocate for John Maxwell's book, Failing Forward. But in fact, that was a big foundation in launching me to any success whatsoever, even to getting to silver. But what's interesting for me is apparently I'm not done with this fear, and it is still attached to my shoulder, whispering in my ear. And I was able to identify that just by looking at and answering these questions. All right, so every purchase, every decision, we are weighing it. But what's very interesting is it is a perceived benefit versus a perceived cost. Now, what is the definition of perceived? It means to interpret or look on someone or something in a particular way. It is to regard something in such a way. You are making a judgment. It is how you look at something. I'm going to use a little bit different example. Many of you are probably parents, and there may be many of you who currently have or have had a child age, I'd say around 11 to 14, 15 or so. This is the period of time where socially they are growing at such a rapid rate that they don't know it, but unconsciously they are constantly watching the people in their social group and even the people at their home, in their own home. Have you ever asked an 11 to 14-year-old to do something or not to do something, and there is an utter and complete meltdown as soon as you ask? Or you say something complimentary even, and all of a sudden tears well up. I mean, you almost cannot predict it. Well, what is going on at that moment is that they are trying to perceive your true meaning behind what you are saying through your tone of voice, your facial expressions, and your body language. And guess what? When you're 11, you get it wrong a lot. Well, you guys, we take that exact same thing and we look at something like the plexus opportunity or becoming a jewel. And we have a perception of the cost and the success, or the cost and the reasons to do that. It's the same type of thing. And so through our development, we have these unconscious habits and subconscious decisions, or I don't want to say decisions, I want to call them ants leading the elephant, us, to make these decisions. Okay, I'm on to my next little note here. All right, page 17 and 18. If you have your book, you can turn there really quick. Again, right down here at the cost of success. Look at that list. Did you identify with any of that there? I sure did. I mean, as soon as I identified it, I realized, it goes back to, for me personally, and you may not know where your root is, but that fear of failure. Because even with success, what if success cannot be?
Erin,
yes.
Can you hear me? Some of us have the electronic copy with no page numbers. Can you be more specific about where you are or what you're reading?
Sure. How about I just hold it? I am on the iceberg page.
I can find that.
Yes. Sorry, I'll do that in the future. We're at the very bottom. It says, what if I succeed and can't sustain it? Well, guess what? That is at the root a fear of failure. Or what if I go for it and lose it all? On the next page, he talks about then again. And I think it's so important for you guys to go through and identify what is it that he's listing, or what did he even leave out that you need to identify in your and this will move you towards this subconscious change of getting rid of yourself, your trash in your head. Okay, now I love this analogy of having your foot on the brake. We just did a little drive. Guess what? In California, there are mountains, people. So we just did a little drive the other night up a mountain. It was very steep. And on the way back, you can tell the people who are terrified, because if they're in front of you, all you smell is brakes, that horrible, rubbery, hot, sharp smell. But at the same time, you have the people who drive this all the time. They're so irritated behind the person who can't keep their foot off the brake. And then you have the people who think they know how to drive down the mountain. And they do a quick stop on the brake, and then they keep coasting, and then another quick stop. And then you have the people who really know what they're doing, and maybe they go into a lower drive or something like that. But my point is this. What is the fear? What is the reason they're using the brake? Because they don't want to go careening off the mountain. That would be a real failure at driving. They don't want to crash. They don't want to have something traumatic happen. And I think that this is a really good analogy for why we sabotage ourselves and why we don't do what we know we should be doing, or rather even, as he talks about it, you know what to do, but no success is coming of it. All right, page 19, which is the very next page from that. You can see all my notes here. At the very top, it says in bold, why would someone feel fear when they start to get what they want? And this goes back to, sabotaging myself. When I'm trying to eat clean and get rid of sugar, this might be the same type of situation as someone I was talking, as people I've seen work in the past where they're so close and they just seem to sabotage themselves even though they really want it. And I love that we are going to be examining something different. It is what you might be feeling that stops what you are doing. So we have to find, guess what, you guys? We should know this really well, the root cause. Because he talks about the feeling being the result. but it's not the cause. We are plexus people. We know the root cause. We build our whole businesses on health from identifying the root cause. This is going to be wonderful for us. We are going to understand this in a way that many people probably cannot, because we understand root cause. And I have come to the point where I hate the words I feel because they're so fickle. But so I love that he's going to be identifying that. All right, let's move on to chapter 2. The little assumption that's costing you a fortune. I'm going to actually skip a little ways in, and on page 26 and 27, and I will show you what it looks like. It's the 4 steps of traditional success programs and the 4 steps of the real world. This is one of the ways the author really builds our belief, because most of us can identify with this. I don't know how many mindset trainings I have done. I just did one on Sunday where I am talking about visualization, and I'm talking about identifying your fears, then capturing them to Christ, replacing it with God's truth in every aspect of your life. And so he talks about these 4 steps of traditional success programs: setting your goals, doing something, evaluating. I one time sat down and wrote down like 7 pages of evaluating my business, from customers to self-evaluation. What am I doing and not doing to build a bigger, more prosperous, a more foundational, a firmer business for my family? And so and then he says, try again. So guess what my New Year's resolution was? To get through those 7 pages of developing these bigger goals and evaluating the places that I was failing a little bit. And I don't mean failing in a bad way either. I just mean I was trying to give myself some constructive criticism. All right, then if you look at the 4 steps of the real world, oh man, the fog, we don't know what we really want. How many times have you as a leader asked someone, what is your why? And they cannot come up with one that gets them up in the morning and pushes them to do the hard things that are needed in the business that we're in. And your why changes. So then what happens if you hit your why? Now what? So I love this fog, because I have had extreme brain fog in the past. I know what that is like. And when it is lifted, it is such an incredibly freeing place to be. Then he talks about treadmilling. We're really, really, really busy and we're getting nowhere. Oh, my heart hurts for those that I see working and working and working.
Not getting anywhere.
There is no fruit. That is tough. I've seen it in myself, working and working and working and getting nowhere. And then what happens? You start thinking it's you. It's something you're not doing, and your negative self-talk starts. People don't want to listen to me. People don't want what I have. I'm not like that other person, and so on and so forth. Treadmilling is one of the hardest places to be, but you guys, we have hope here. This is very cool. I really hope that you are identifying with treadmilling, and that right now you are drawing your line in the sand, that you will work these 7 steps and work them hard and work them well and be accountable to us in this group so that you can have success. I am digging in deep, guys. I am digging, I have not arrived because I'm diamond. One of the greatest biggest parts of this business is being coachable. And I feel I am more coachable at this moment than I was even as a new ambassador. Well, granted, I was a grumpy ambassador in the beginning. So, an ambassador with their line drawn in the sand, more coachable now than I was 3 years ago. Okay, number 3, feeling like a failure, and I just talked about that. And then pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Maybe you listen to Les Brown. Maybe you go to a mindset training and you try again. It is a vicious cycle, isn't it? It's tough. All right. But the point of this book is to get you to reach your full potential by letting yourself succeed. And I have to tell you, I sat for a few minutes with that letting yourself succeed, and I changed it and said letting myself succeed. And I got scared. I'm a diamond. I got scared. And I thought, oh man, there's going to be deep stuff here. I'm going to have to take my time. You guys have 10 million notes in my books. In my book, I'm going to have to take my time. I'm going to have to really, really eat this stuff, chew it well before applying it. And I hope you do the same. All right, we're going to move on to chapter 3. This is where he talks about the secret code being revealed and the 7 steps with the pyramid. But I would like to point out the women and men differentiation he makes. He talks about women, whether unconsciously or whether inadvertently or directly, believing their self-worth comes from their physical bodies, and then how that has changed over time to now finding worth in our material bodies or bringing home the bacon. Then he talks about men, and he says that men have always needed inadvertently or indirectly or directly to find worth in their material bodies or what they are bringing home, what their success looks like. But he does not talk about men and physical bodies, and I think that needs to be said, because I actually think that men now are expected to look a certain way as well. So just like we might as women be a little bit further into material worth more than men are into physical worth right now, but I see an evolving in our culture where it is very much for men as well. And I think it starts even at a very young age. So for all of us. So I do think that if there's any men on here, I really believe that that's part of it as well. Okay, so he talks about this success disorder, developing a deep negative self-belief. And I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about where does this stuff come from? Where does this negative self-belief come from? Yes, it might come from a comment from a teacher or from a friend, from a parent, and not even knowing that they're saying something negative. Maybe even they're just making a simple comparison. I mean, it could come from a book, but I actually think it's even deeper than that. I really believe a lot of negative self-belief, because you can praise a child up and down, and they still will have negative self-belief thoughts in their head. So where does that come from? And I 100% believe it's from Satan. So I go back to my whole mindset of, this mantra I have of identifying the head trash, capturing it to Christ and replacing it with God's truth. And I think it goes along well with what he's talking about here, this success disorder and this head trash. And then we begin to starve ourselves of the ability to succeed. So, of course, being just who I am and thinking about the book, because when I read something like this, I really stop and think. And I'm immediately, and maybe he's going to cover this, but why would we do this? And here is my theory. I think we get comfortable in that head trash, and it's very uncomfortable to take it out. I think about our own trash can at home. when somebody goes and, like, we cut up a watermelon and you put a watermelon in the bottom of that trash can, you guys, it suddenly weighs 50 pounds. And it is hard to get it out of that. You've got plastic against plastic, and it sticks to the side of the trash can, and you're pulling, and then the trash bag rips, and then you feel like cursing, and then you start to drag the trash out, and you realize you left the trash can out front, and so now you have to go through the house to go through to get to the trash can, and then you look down and realize you have left watermelon juice trail the whole way through your house. It is uncomfortable to take out the trash. It feels really good, though, to put in a new bag, doesn't it? So I kind of think that, at least this is my theory, that we get really comfortable in our own head trash because we've been there a very long time, quietly nurturing those little lines of negative thoughts, feeding them, even when we say we don't want to, feeding them, nurturing them, giving them a safe harbor in our home. So I think that that's why when it comes to mindset, it takes discipline. As you read this book, it is going to take discipline and effort to do these 7 steps. This book is about giving ourselves permission to succeed. So I started to sit with this a little bit, you guys, telling myself, I give myself permission to succeed. And that same weird emotion came up in me. There is still, I am not at my full potential. You are not at your full potential. And that is why we are here tonight, so that we can get to our full potential. Now, let's go to the people who are natural at success. We all know these people, don't we? They do something wrong and they come out smelling like a rose. Everything they touch, every person they talk to, blossoms and grows, and they're amazing. So get this. Who do we compare ourselves to? The 3%ers. Don't we? They're the ones, and if I talk about it in the Plexus business, they're the ones that we see on stage getting every single, award, and they've got huge teams, and they look perfect, and they just had their makeup done before the event, and no hair is out of place. And those 3%ers are who we compare ourselves to, and then what happens?
Get shut down.
Yeah, negative. We get that negative. Head trash has just been fed. A little more, a little more. All right, so I hope he's going to cover that too, because the ultimate goal in this book is to get to a place that you discover who you really are and act in accord with who you really are. But here's the deal. You can be a 3%er too, but you won't be like those other 3%ers in how you look and how you present yourself or anything. But this comes down to being your best self. We've talked about this so much. Being who you are meant to be, with purpose and with amazing perspective and incredible potential. All right, on page 43, and I will show you what that looks like. Why should I follow the code anyway? Right there at the top. And he talks about the objectives here. You will get rid of that head trash. You will have financial, relational, and health improvements. Because of that, think about how good you feel when you take out the trash and put in that new bag. You experience more joy, more peace, because you are who you really are and you know your purpose. I would love to talk about, we don't have enough time, but talk about purpose and perspective and potential, because I think they're all tied in with this book and where we're going, and with our businesses too. Okay. all along now, when we do trainings and we do posts on the team page, what are we doing? We are giving you the behavior to do in order to have success. Even all the mindset trainings I've ever done has been about how to change behavior. The one thing I've talked about, identify, capture, replace. Well, he talks about going deeper than that. And then on page 76, that's the pyramid where he talks about affirmations and so on. And notice that number 1 is the biggest. This is your foundation.
Affirmations.
All right, so here's the deal. This is what I'd like to leave you with, because you can all look at the pyramid for yourself. I'm not going to go over each and every one or anything like that. I want a commitment from you. I want you to commit to doing each of these 7 steps over the next several weeks with us. And even if you're scared, you do it anyway. I was very vulnerable and honest with you, thinking just the phrase, giving myself permission to succeed, brings up something in me that I have got to sit with and sit and identify and figure out what is stopping me. I am asking the same for you, because I'm going to tell you something. We don't want to be here at the top by ourselves. We need you. We need you up here with us. It is not as much fun without you. We see your potential. I think about that with my husband. I see such potential in him. He looks at me and sees such potential in me. Why aren't we hitting it? Why aren't we seeing it in ourselves? We do the same with you, and I am ready to see it in myself. Are you ready to see it in yourself? If you are committed to doing this with us, with your jewels, for the next 5-6 weeks, will you please unmute yourself and say, yes, I am committed?
Hell
Yes, I am committed.
Yes, I'm committed.
I'm committed.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
I'm ready.
I'm committed.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
you've made the commitment, and we have heard you. And I see who you are, Michelle and Anna, Melissa, Karen, Dee Dee, Alyssa, Jenna, Angela, Kathy. I see you, Denise, Tracy, Mandy, Sally, Sarah, Kimberly, Paula, Cindy, Nina, Heather. I see you, Carla. Oh, I don't know who Samsung is, but I see you in the black sweatshirt. Hold on.
Angie.
Angie, I see you. I see you, Kenzie. I see you, Sarah. I see you, Brandy, Nicole, Jen, Carolyn, Heidi, Jamie. Uh-oh, it just changed on me. Alyssa, Alicia, maybe. Alicia, there it is. Teresa, I see
Caroline.
you. Amber, I see you. Caroline, yes. Judy, I see you. Tanisha, Jamie, Sam, Judy, Tressa. Oh, gosh, it changed on me again. Tressa, Kelly, Jamie, Kristen, Christy, Judy, Michelle, Allie, Jamie, Tammy, Paula, Jamie, I see you. Kristen, Zadra, I see you. Carolyn, Heidi, another iPhone, I see you. Rachel, I think I got everybody. Stephanie, Barbara, Terry, Dave, Alyssa, Rebecca, Dawn, Carrie, Denise, Heather, Renee,
Holly.
Jamie, Holly, Amanda, Julie, Tammy, Laura, Jenny, Jerry. I see you. If I missed you, I still see you here. Thank you for your commitment. Let's do this scared. Let's do this with pride, that we will find our potential, that nothing will stop us anymore. We will rise to the occasion, and we will be our best selves. Good night, you guys. It was a great time with you. I love each and every one of you. I cannot wait to see where we are in December. How amazing is this going to be to find our purpose, to find our full potential, and take out the damn trash.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you.